Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today's video is going to focus on food preparation options you might be able to use when the area you're going to be camping in is under a burn ban. Where I live in southeastern Ohio, as well as the entire rest of the state, has been experiencing drought conditions worse than we've seen in many decades. And as a result, Governor Mike DeWine has issued a statewide burn ban. That means no campfires, no burning trash, no fire pits in your yard, nothing with an open flame. And as a result, that's really affected a lot of family camping trips to all the state parks in the state of Ohio, at all the campgrounds, and a lot of the things that we enjoy about this time of year, like enjoying a fire pit on your back patio. Well, that also affects anyone that is conscious to just how severe this drought is. Yes, where I camp, there's no one in miles. However, I can't let my desire and my selfishness to want to enjoy that wood smoke to jeopardize the possibility of wildfires. Just here where I live in our county, we've already experienced within the past week 20 wildfires, and all of these have the potential of threatening structures and livestock and everything else. So that being said, that sort of limits a lot of the enjoyment that you can have while you're wild camping and bushcrafting. There are a few options that you have available for you, one of which are MREs. They require no eating necessarily, but if you want a hot meal, you can use MRE heaters. Now, a lot of people that just throw stuff in their bags and go camping, well, a lot of those people, they don't keep MREs on hand. I do, but and I'm certain a lot of you do as well, but it's something that's not necessarily common amongst a lot of backpackers. That's an excellent choice. You also have the option of eating cold things like little cans of ravioli or beefarino or lasagna or mac and cheese. And yeah, you can do that, but sometimes that's not necessarily a palatable experience, and you don't necessarily enjoy eating those items cold. There are other options available to you in the form of something called cold soaking. Cold soaking was made popular by the ultra lightweight backpacking community. It's very simple, very effective, very inexpensive. As a matter of fact, you could probably use items that you already have in your pantry at home to do this with. All you need is dehydrated or freeze-dried food, a watertight container, and some water. You put your freeze-dried or dehydrated food in the container, add the necessary water, close the container up, put it in your backpack, be about your business, and when you're ready to eat, you're going to have fully reconstituted food. Here are a few containers I just pulled out of our cabinet that will work perfect for it, and that's one of the benefits of using this technique, is that your containers that you're using for your food preparation is ultra lightweight, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get them. This is a pill bottle. This right here had bouillon in it. I believe that was a mayonnaise jar. And then of course you can also purchase containers like these lock boxes that have a nice seal in them, and these come in all shapes and sizes. This is one that I've used quite a bit. My daughter got this for me one year for Christmas, and I've used it quite a few times, and I've used it at home making lunch when I was at work. It's microwavable, it's decent size, so any of these things could use, things you already have laying around your house. Like I said, just about any type of freeze-dried or dehydrated pre-manufactured foods will work just fine. There are certain dehydrated foods that will take a lot longer. Like if you have dehydrated beans, that had already been either parboiled or already previously cooked, and they've been dehydrated. You know, they'll take a good bit longer. They'll probably take up to like 2-3 hours maybe. But things like this will be ready in just a matter of minutes. Now, I very easily could go ahead and just put this in the jar with some water, and it would be fine. Wouldn't provide me any protein whatsoever, but you know, I could still eat it. And if I add protein to it, that's going to enhance the palatability of it and just make it more interesting to eat, other than just consuming calories for the sake of consuming calories. Now, cold food, you have to think about that. What kind of food could you eat out of your refrigerator from like leftovers and enjoy? I know I used to love to have cold pizza the day after we had pizza that evening. And there are certain foods that are actually pretty refreshing. And like you could do any type of fruits or things like that. But I personally feel that, you know, some chicken ramen with some chicken being cold, I think that would be fairly refreshing, especially when you are already enduring some very high temperatures. That could actually be very beneficial, and not having something in your body that is increasing your body temperature. And to have something cool or cold would definitely be refreshing and more beneficial to your body in a very hot environment. Now, for mine, I'm going to use this mayonnaise jar, and I'll just crunch this up. That way it gets in and out of the jar easier. You have to be careful when you do this, because they have a tendency of exploding and noodle bits go everywhere. Now, most of these prepackaged meals that you get, or side dishes, or whatever you want to call them, they are designed to be put in a cook pot, and you are supposed to boil it with X amount of water. Well, they take into account that a lot of that water is going to go up in steam. So for cold soaking, you won't need as much water. So for like a package of ramen, you know, they tell you to use 2 cups of water. Well, I don't want ramen soup. I just really want the reconstituted noodles. So I'm only going to put 1 cup of water in my ramen. And if you look online, you get on all the forums and everything, and you're going to find places that have all kinds of recipes of all different types of things that you can add and put together to create your own meals to make them more interesting and more enjoyable to eat. Let's see, get my measurement here. So right now that is 1 cup, and I'm also going to have the broth that is in the canned chicken. So I want to save that. That's going to add flavor to the ramen. So I'm going to pour the broth in there first. Then I'm going to put the chicken chunks in there. Gotta get all of it. And since I really like the picante seasoning in this particular ramen packet, I'm definitely going to be adding the flavor packet. I'll put the lid on and give it a good shake. Now, I would put that in my backpack, go about my business, and within 15 to 30 minutes, this is going to be reconstituted and ready to eat. Now for dessert, I'm going to be enjoying a Mountain House raspberry crumble. With the vast majority of freeze-dried foods, you will see on the label that they tell you to add X amount of boiling water. And for the vast majority of those meals, boiling water is not necessary to reconstitute it. It just needs the water. Now granted, some of the entrees or desserts may take just a little bit longer to reconstitute, but they will reconstitute. I very easily could put the contents of this freeze-dried dessert into a jar, reconstitute it exactly the way I'm reconstituting the ramen, but I'm going to go ahead and reconstitute it in this pouch. If you were to do this while you're backpacking, this does have a Ziploc seal. If you want to trust that Ziploc seal while it's in your backpack, that is your decision. But if I were to be putting it back in my backpack, this little baby would be going in a jar, guaranteed. Well, it's been 15 minutes. And it looks pretty well reconstituted. Now everything's ready. I'm going to prepare a cup of cold coffee. Just about anything that is considered instant will reconstitute instantly. I mean, exactly as if you were preparing it with hot water. Like instant potatoes, instant oatmeal, any of those things. And like I said, some things may take just a little while longer than others, but it'll still reconstitute. Now let's see how this is. The old Cafe Bustelo. Ooh, it's frothy, just like I got at the bistro. That's not bad. Now, the coffee instant type 2 that I used to get with my sea rations when I was in the Army, that stuff would also reconstitute beautifully with cold water. And I got to a point where I was in the Army to where cold coffee didn't bother me that much because of that. Well, let's check out the noodles and chicken. See how that goes. Not much broth. Noodles are reconstituted. All that extra broth I put in there from the canned chicken with the seasoning packet, very, very good. Now, I haven't tried it, but I venture to say, especially if you had something like a mason jar, which I know that's not a practical thing to take camping with you, but if you were to sit that out in the sun, you would have a hot meal. Now let's try the crumble. I'm going to try it first, just reconstituted. This looks like raspberry jam. No, that's very nice. Oh, smells even better. Okay. Wow, it literally melts in your mouth. Now this is very good cool. I've had this when it was hot. It was good hot too. But that is outstanding. Now, put my crumbles in there, which is just basically chocolate cookie crumbles. There's a lot of them. Switch a few of those around in there. It's like a fancy dessert. Wow. That's some calories. Yeah, that'll eat. That'll eat. Now, a good friend of mine, many, many years ago, actually was the first person to introduce this cold soaking technique to me. And he was deployed to Kosovo and was serving there. I think he was there for about a year. And when he came back, he asked me, he says, like, did you know that you could, you know, reconstitute ramen noodles with cold water or with water? And I said, well, it's how you do it. It was just, you know, and he said, no, you can do it without, you know, cooking it and stuff. I said, well, I guess if you put hot water in a container with the ramen noodles. He said, no, you just put the noodles in with water, let it sit for a while, and you have ramen noodles. And you know, that just never really sunk with me until years and years later. My buddy John was, you know, getting into all this research about ultralight camping. You know, just like me, we're getting older, we want to lighten things up a little bit so we can enjoy the woods time a little bit more. And you know, he told me about cold soaking. My good buddy Val, he's a machine. There's just like no stopping him. And he's done cold soaking quite a few times on a lot of his long distance hiking, backpacking trips in Colorado. And so I know from them that it works very, very well. And there's a lot of different possibilities with this. Again, there's a lot of forums out there for ultralight backpacking. There's probably specific forums all about cold soaking as well. But with a few things you can pick up from your local grocery store or things you may already have in your pantry at home, you can definitely prepare a weekend's worth of meals with a decent amount of diversity that you can use the cold soaking technique in on times to where you have situations like our burn bans. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little bit. I'm going to sit here and enjoy my cold meals, and I actually am going to enjoy them. They're quite delicious. As always, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.